You said your father grew up in a household where they only spoke Croatian, right? So
right. Yes. Yes. My grandparents never spoke English. They never drove. They, walked to work and walked everywhere they went. So, very, Spartan lifestyle. But yes, he spoke Croatian, or Croatian was spoken in the house. And then when my dad, after World War II, he got out of the Navy and went and was coaching at a small college in Ohio, and my mother was the language teacher, and so my mother taught French and Spanish, and of course all my dad's dumb football players were failing in French and Spanish, so he went to have a little conversation with her, and they met, fell in love, and so forth. So she learned Croatian from my grandmother and grandfather so that she could speak to them. So she spoke Croatian, learned Croatian, spoke Croatian, and I sat there and couldn't understand what everybody was saying.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there. You got a couple of words. Hvala. You got that one down. I am annoyingly Croatian in America, so I'm like anytime if there's any kind of source of pride, I'm all over it. So one of the things that some of the people here will know, but maybe some others don't, is that Bill coaches without question. There's two types of football in America that Americans are crazy about. There's professional, and then there's college. And college football is also massive, not as big as NFL, but very, very big. One of the 4 biggest sports, I would say, leagues in America. So here we have the professional greatest coach of all time, Croatian-American. Just so happens that the greatest, without debate, greatest college football coach of all time is Nick Saban. Shaban, I think, is probably his given name. Croatian. So you guys have a bond, and that's a total coincidence that you guys are also friends? Or how did you find out that you were both Croatian? I'm wondering, that's a pretty wild coincidence. The greatest 2 football coaches in American history are both Croatian-Americans.
Yeah, so Nick Saban coached at the Naval Academy with my dad, and so of course they made the Croatian connection right away. And then Coach Saban and I worked together for 4 years when I was the head coach of the Browns. And then of course we competed against each other when he was at the Dolphins for 2 years. But then when he went to Alabama, he won 6 national championships there to go with the one that he won at LSU before that. So 7 national championships in college football. And Nick's a great friend, tremendous coach, and very proud Croatian, as is Pete Carroll, whose mother is Croatian. And one of my players, former players, Rob Ninkovic, he and I share a lot of stories together about our country and our heritage, and we stuck together pretty good. So, but one of the great moments for me was in the World Cup when we played Mexico. Our strength coach was Mexican, and so we had a bet on whichever team won. The other guy would have to wear the other colors. So when Croatia won 2-1, then our coach had to wear and he's Mexican, so he had to wear the Croatian hat, the Croatian flag, the Croatian jersey, the red, white, check. He had to wear it all day. That was awesome. That was great. That was great.
So you're known as a no nonsense coach. Everything by the rule. If you're late, that's unheard of, and all this, which is great. However, there was one exception where recently, I think this past December, you were late for practice, or the last one to show up to practice, something like